You usually start medicine straight out of high school, 17, 18 years old, and you come in with your own expectations of what university is supposed to be like. Freedom, balance, studying smart, not hard, a life. Trust me, about 90% of that is wrong. Now, depending on where you're from, first year isn't that bad. In fact, for most people, it's the last time they'll ever be confident. You pass, you get decent grades, you think, okay, I've got this. And then second year happens. Second year is like being born into expectations you never agreed to. Like suddenly being expected to maintain a marriage you didn't choose. You go from thinking you knew a lot to realizing you didn't know anything at all. The workload doesn't just increase, it literally mutates. The depth changes, the expectations changes. And now, understanding something isn't enough. You're expected to understand it perfectly, in context, under pressure. At this point, difficulty stops being objective. It solely depends on you. But let's be honest, some courses purely exist to humble you. Pharmacology is one of them. Hundreds of drugs, thousands of mechanisms, side effects that never end, interactions you didn't see coming. And the worst part, this isn't the only course you're studying. So while you're busy trying to remember how one drug works, another course is reminding you that you're already behind somewhere else. For me, it only got worse. Embryology, histology, gross anatomy were all compressed in one course, which we called Human Anatomy and Development. Gross anatomy alone was so insane. You memorize every bone, every muscle, every major blood vessel, and then you realize just knowing a bone means nothing. Because everyone knows the bone, you're expected to know how it relates to everything else around it. What passes behind it, what gets injured if it's fractured, what nerve gets compromised, what muscles or movements disappears. Nothing exists in isolation anymore. And just when you think this is the hardest it gets, neuroscience shows up. The brain doesn't care about your feelings. It doesn't care how many times you revised. You forget one pathway, one nucleus, one lesion, and the whole equation collapses. That's when things start to make sense. Why some students repeat years, why people go quiet, why the smartest person you know suddenly looks exhausted all the time. You realize how easy it is to fail. Not because you're lazy, not because you're stupid, but because this system leaves no room for weakness. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Not everyone who fails didn't work hard. Sometimes passing is luck. You can study the entire human body and then walk into an exam that focuses heavily on one region, say the lower limb, and if you master the thorax or the abdomen, suddenly all that effort doesn't matter. Medicine doesn't always reward effort, it rewards alignment with the exam. By the end of it all, you will know more than you ever thought possible, and somehow forget most of it. You forget details you once sacrificed sleep for, things you stressed over, things you thought you would never forget. And that's when you realize this was never a game about memory. This is about treating real people after surviving a training process so unforgiving that failure is always close. Medicine sucks because it asks for everything. Your time, your energy, your mental health, your identity. And it rarely tells you if you're doing enough. So yeah, this isn't a hype video. This is reality. And so if you're planning to be a doctor, now you know.